Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mactacular. We are back, myself and John. John, you good?
Yeah.
Yeah, the people been telling me how much they miss you, how much they love you.
You love me?
Yeah, well, I think you're all right, but the people, they really love you. So listen, we're going to talk a little bit about QAnon. We're going to talk about what's going on with this channel. We're going to talk some about social media, and I am going to answer some of your questions today. But first, let's talk a little bit about the border. I have got live footage of the progress of the caravan right now. Let's take a look. Yeah, well, don't let that video fool you, okay? They were only showing the young ones in that video, all right? There's some older ones in there, too. They're just trying to tug at your heartstrings. Now, that was when they were still in Honduras, and of course, they crossed over the border into Guatemala. And take a look at this video. Yeah, exactly what I'm saying right there. Where's the women and children now, huh? And you know what else I think? I don't think they're walking all that way. Seems like a long way to walk for all those people, huh? You know what I think? I think they're getting a little bit of help. I think they hop aboard a truck, and then every once in a while they stop that truck so that the cameras can start rolling, and then they blow a little whistle, and they all come out and start walking again. Yeah? You don't believe me? Well, look at this. Yeah. Your eyes do not deceive you, ladies and gentlemen. That is real. You heard it here first. And now that they've crossed into Mexico, they're starting to get a little aggressive. As a matter of fact, I'm hearing there might be some gangsters among some of them. Check this out. I told you they were aggressive. Methinks there may be some vatos amongst the patos. All right, well, here's some real footage here. Notice that the truck number is 177. And as you can see, here are some of our dreamers right here. Looks like a Rose Bowl parade, except no flowers at all. My goodness, look at all those women and children. They must be on the other truck somewhere. And of course, they're all saying, Gracias, Mexico. So I guess Mexico's gonna put them up at the Holiday Inn Express. Sweet. Good luck, gentlemen. Okay, so this is all very strange, and of course POTUS came out saying, don't even bother trying to cross, you're not going to get across. We're going to use the military if we need, the National Guard, whatever is necessary, but this is clearly an invasion, and we have the right claiming that this seems to clearly be a Soros-funded project. That's how they're getting on these trucks. Otherwise, there's no way they would be able to make it by walking in time for the midterms, and of course many of them probably would die along the way. It's a very dangerous trek trying to go through two countries like this. Now, you have all the unhinged left. They're saying that the right actually funded this, as this is sort of part of our pro-border policy plan, which seems also very strange to me. Now, Mike Pompeo had this to say.
The United States also has a message for those who are currently part of this caravan or any caravan which follows. You will not be successful at getting into the United States illegally, no matter what. I repeat, the caravan will not cross our southern border illegally under any circumstances. If you seek to come here, go through the normal refugee process. If you apply for refugee status, a permanent solution is possible in Mexico or in a third country. But I can tell you with certainty, we are determined that illegal entry into the United States from this caravan will not be possible.
You shall not pass!
All right, it's a little dramatic, but in other news, off of Defense News, thanks to Kizach Hadarach, who sent me this. This is one of my favorite publications, by the way. Defense News. Pentagon presents recommendations on Space Force to Trump. The National Space Council on Tuesday served up 6 recommendations to President Donald Trump to enable the creation of a Space Force, moving the birth of a 6th military branch one step closer to fruition. Vice President Mike Pence, who chairs the council, said he anticipated that President Donald Trump will likely take action on at least some of the recommendations very soon. He only asks me about the Space Force every week, Pence joked. The 6 recommendations laid out by Deputy Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan include language that guides the creation of a unified space command to be known as U.S. Space Command, gives direction on a legislative proposal for a Space Force, calls for creating a funding plan in the fiscal year 2020 budget for a, Space Force, outlines an interagency authorities review establishes Joint Space Development Agency for Technology Procurement, strengthens the relationship between military space and the intelligence community. So exciting stuff for those of you who are fans of the Space Force. And we also had this from NASA. This is an audit of NASA's historic property. This came out on the 22nd. Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen this whole thing yet. I've seen part of it. Most of it seems to deal with a lot of items that they already kind of have and how they loan things out. Let me just take you down here. Here we go. NASA needs to further strengthen protections of Challenger and Columbia artifacts. They're talking about a lot of their own personal property and how they loan it out and what should be done and whatnot. So I didn't really see a whole lot as of yet, but I haven't quite finished it. I will leave this for you here, but for any of you who like to geek out about Space Force stuff, there you go. The PDF will be down below. A special thanks to Z Patriot, who sent me this tweet from U.S. Army Pacific, Yokohama, North Dock, Japan. The 35th Combat Sustainment Support Battalion began their conduct equipment movement operations in support of their deployment to the Joint Readiness Training Center at Fort Polk, Louisiana. And this was on October 15th. So it looks like they were already begun some joint readiness operations going on, and they were also doing some stuff down there in Puerto Rico too. So it looks like we are getting a lot of exercises ready to go, almost as if we are preparing for something big. Now, speaking of big things, I've had a lot of questions over the last few days, especially. Many of you know that I've been traveling, and I wanted to go ahead and address what's up with me, what's up with Q, and all that. And I'm going to just try and address some of your questions. I did a Q&A yesterday on Twitter, and it was a lot of fun. Thanks to you guys who participated. And I wanted to read some of the answers to you. So maybe some of you who are watching who do not follow me on Twitter or Gab can kind of get some answers, at least directly from me, and see what's up. So thanks to all of you who sent these in, and I'm just going to basically read some of these questions that I think a lot of people would be asking. This first one comes from Ben Bolen. Why doesn't Trump call in a national emergency and call Congress back in session to change the laws on, I guess that would be immigration, to expose the Dems with this current invasion about to happen? Thanks for your question, Ben. Because the same result seems to be playing out without him having to. That's what I answered last night. And really what I mean here is that, this situation on the border is turning into a real soup sandwich, right? Nobody really wants to claim to it. And it's just growing and growing and growing, and it's becoming ugly. And I don't really think anybody thinks this is a good thing. I don't even think the unhinged left thinks this is a good idea. I think everyone sees that this is pretty crazy. Now, obviously, you have people barking on the news saying that we should let them all in and this and that. But I think even on the left, that is not a very popular opinion. I think people really, really see through this, including the Dems, which is why I don't really see a lot of them wanting to claim to this. Some of them are, but a lot of them are backing away from this. So I think the reason why Trump doesn't call a national emergency, and Trump actually did call a national emergency in his December EO. Now, technically, I don't think that we're going to really use that premise, but who knows? But Trump has been very clear that they will deal with whoever shows up to the border. And I just played you the video of Mike Pompeo. But I don't really think that Trump needs to do a lot of this. Now, I think if Trump calls Congress back into session, I think that ends up making this another political battle. And that's the last thing that we really need for the midterms. That's just my opinion on that. I think it would get uglier this way, and it would give the unhinged left a lot more ammo to kind of fire off at Trump, using it as a political battle, rather than just letting it play itself out and see it for the absurdity that it is. Let's take you to the next question here. Do you think we will undergo martial law when mass arrests take place? Well, it could very well happen. This is from Crystal. I said, let's hope not. That scenario doesn't ever end well. Yeah, it seems all cool and all hoorah when we're going after the people that we don't like. But, martial law is one of those things that once we undergo martial law, what if they just want to use that premise to say, all right, well, we're going to keep it this way. And, it's for your safety. It's for your own good. Next thing you know, you're the person that's under martial law. So, look, I'm hoping that that's the worst case scenario, but I'm really, really hoping it doesn't go down like this. I hope that it keeps going. I would rather it go slower and let all the evil kind of be brought to light for what it is and let people make those decisions for themselves rather than having to rely so much on government to actually put us under martial law. That being said, it could be very possible that this happens. We will have to see how it plays out, but I definitely hope for the best, and I don't think martial law is our best course of action. Mark asks, is cake great again yet? Well, of course it is, Mark. Cake was always great, despite what any Cuomo might tell you. That's what I had to say yesterday. Of course, make cake great again, McCugga. Don't worry, Mark. Cake will never lose its greatness. It's just inherently great. And the Anons knew that all along. Offline Ollie, how is your family? Much better, thank you, I said. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I posted this on Twitter and Gab. I had a family member fall ill. Now, I was traveling, they were traveling, we were not traveling together, but this particular family member got really, really ill, is still in the hospital, has been for quite some days. It was pretty ugly. So thanks for all of your thoughts and prayers. I've passed that on. He's feeling much better right now, but still not out of the weeds. It's always a complication when you fall ill overseas and you end up getting hospitalized overseas. It just adds a whole new set of complications. So thanks for all your good thoughts. American Angel asks, is this the quiet before the storm? No Q posts, no good YouTube videos. How do you think the mob at the border will be handled? Okay, well, for those of you who are newer to Q, I'd like to let you know that Q has gone for many days without posting before, and I would not worry about it too much. Like I said, there's a lot going on. I don't think Q has a whole lot of time for 8chan. I think it also protects a lot of us. It gives people sort of less ammunition to work with against Q and QAnon followers. I think this would be a great time to really pump a bunch of anti-Q rhetoric if there were a lot of Q posts going on. So with these tense times, just keep in mind that these are the best times. You can usually tell what's going on by whether or not Q is posting. And of course, we've had a massive news cycle all year long. But when Q goes silent, usually that's when the most is happening, although it doesn't seem to feel that way for a lot of us. This really is a ton of stuff happening under the radar. Now, I answered, remember that we are targets and we're simply giving them less to shoot at. You had all you needed to know for months. We'll be back and better. Yeah, please keep in mind that, I consider myself a pretty normal guy, but they're not going to go after the Dan Bonginos of the world. They're going to go after guys like myself, other QAnon content creators and things like that. So a lot of us have stayed rather quiet. Now, I did mention that I was traveling, but I'm also using this time to do some other things too, to kind of prepare some other kinds of videos and spend a little bit of time on some projects that I've always wanted to do. The daily stuff is it's fantastic. I love sharing my coffee with you too, but I will be probably a little bit more sporadic until after the midterms, until Q starts posting again. I have a lot of plans for this channel, but this is a great time to kind of not give them a lot of fodder. And like I said, we're targets too. They're looking for any reason to ban us. And so for me to just put up a bunch of, how should I say, if I'm just reading you the headlines every day, it gives them a lot of reasons to go ahead and go after my channel. And maybe not for any real good reason. I would rather spend my time trying to give you a Q post and things that I've dug up or whatever. But if I'm just simply regurgitating a lot of the news, that doesn't seem like worth the risk. I hope that makes sense. But I want to stay online, and I want to continue to keep growing this channel and keep morphing this channel into something much cooler for all of us. And I just don't want to give them that moment at a time when they're really going after 8chan so hard. But as far as Q not posting, I wouldn't worry about it too much. This has happened before. People who've been following QAnon for a while kind of already understand that. But if you are new to that, I would say don't worry about it too much. It's just, like I said before, picture what's going on in this global narrative, and it should answer your question. Q has been quite busy. But that being said, yeah, I plan to come back on a daily schedule when I can very soon, but I'm going to try and utilize this time to help get us through the midterms, create some other pump up videos for you and things like that. So be on the lookout for that stuff. Thanks for your question. Sandra Young asks, is this hurricane going to impact the caravan? I answered, likely, but maybe not how we might expect. Yeah, I'm not so sure. This hurricane is going to get downgraded probably. I think it already has. I do believe the mountain region is going to kind of tame it down. We are still going to get quite a bit of rain. It would not surprise me that it does impact the caravan. I like actually this Sheenan Stevens. Is it Sheenan or Shannon? I'm sorry if I'm not getting your first name right there. One of my theories on this is the storm will cause significant damage to Mexico. Trump can then say, yes, we will help you financially, but first you have to get rid of the immigrants, then pay us back by building the wall. This way Trump still looks awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's going to exactly play out like that, but I was thinking along the lines of that. I think that's really great. Yeah, they're going to make Mexico pay for the wall. What a way to do it, right? I think that would really, either way, I don't know if it will go that far, but I definitely think Trump will come out very clean, and I think that's actually a pretty fair theory right there. Will Rod 51 asks, who do you follow that in your opinion has good info? I respond, Able Danger for the techie stuff. Yeah, a lot of you guys like Able Danger. Of course I do too. It's just a kind of, there's always a different perspective there that I never really have. And there's always good stuff there. Now, I'm not much of a techie guy. So I tend to try and listen to some people that have a perspective that I most certainly do not. And then of course I mentioned here, Dan Bongino speaks in a similar manner as I, and he almost always confirms my suspicions. Yeah, I like Dan Bongino a lot because he talks to me the way I want to be talked to, I guess. I think he lays out a lot of great stuff. He's got a lot of great experience, good information, and tells it like a story. And that's kind of the way I want to hear things too. So I'm a big fan of Dan Bongino. I think somebody actually asked me in this Q&A if I was Dan Bongino, saying that I was faking my voice. I am not Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino is from the East Coast and I am from the West Side. You should be able to tell in our accents. And so no, I don't sound like I'm faking my voice to be Dan Bongino. I sound like me, because I am. I also mentioned here Lisa May 62 and In the Matrix, Lisa May Crowley. In the Matrix, they both do QAnon stuff. So when we're following QAnon stuff, I tend to pop up their threads first. They because you guys are in a different time zone, I tend to lay out their threads, and I use it almost like an outline to kind of let me know what the topic is, what Q posted. It gives me sort of a one place to go to and sort of see what the theme is, and really from there, then I just go off and do my own research like anybody else does, because I don't really want to just rehash their stuff. But as far as Twitter goes, sometimes that's really easy for me to just kind of pop up one of their threads and go, okay, here's what I'm working with today, and let me see if I can use that as a stem to kind of branch out from there and hopefully embellish there. But they both do some great work. If you're on Twitter, I suggest you follow them. Fantastic stuff. And they both cover QAnon. So big thanks to them if they're listening. But yeah, I say always help me get started with the topic. But most of my time is spent reviewing speech videos of rallies and tweets. Yeah, to be honest with you, a lot of it is just me sitting down with my coffee and just trying to listen to all the speeches and rallies and all that kind of stuff that I would have missed over the night. A lot of your news happens while you guys are awake, of course. And of course, I'm on the other side of the world, on the Eastern Hemisphere. And so I'm oftentimes still catching up and then trying to see if I can push forward into your early morning. That's how our news cycle sort of works. So hope that answers your question. Rita asks, does 11/11 still hold, or has it been pushed out? And Rita, I believe, is referring to the military parade that was originally proposed for November 11th. And of course, there's a lot of significance in 11/11 being sort of a great awakening in general, not just in reference to what's going on in the United States and around the world, but the number itself, 11/11. Look, I answered. This answer will come from the POTUS, and it should hopefully be a great troll. Remember, he canceled North Korea too, and I'm referring to the North Korea summit. Remember, he got a lot of flack for this summit, and they were really pressuring him to cancel for obvious reasons. This was going to expose a lot of things about the deep state, and he went ahead and did it, right? But then it was on anyway. So, this is just the way that POTUS operates, and I've seen this time and time before. So I'm not really going to say that it's going to hold for sure. I'm not saying that it's going to be back on. I don't really know. I do think there's a lot of significance in that date. At the same time, I think when you're dealing with the deep state, they're trying to predict a lot of these numbers too. They're the ones that are way into numerology themselves. So I'm not a big fan of predicting anything on dates. I think it's just a good way to be wrong, and I think that when you're playing this kind of enemy, that is not a really bright way to go about things. Now, all that being said, I would love to see something happen on that date, and I think it very well could be. I'm just not so sure if it's going to manifest in the way that we're thinking. So I hope that answers your question, Riet. K-Fud asks, what's your take on the whole Khashoggi thing? Do you think MBS is involved? Was he set up, or were they rogue operatives? I'm assuming you're talking about Muslim Brotherhood there. Everything's a little too convenient. If they were trying to be sneaky, they failed miserably. Yeah, I agree. I answered, I believe for a bit that Avenatti and this Khashoggi will somehow intertwine. I'm going to explain that in a minute. Saudi Arabia is not our friend, but we also need their money. The border is the domestic attack from the deep state. Khashoggi was the international one, and I kind of referred to what I meant earlier on in the video there. Yeah, let me rememberize you here, and let me just take you to a graphic that kind of states what I'm talking about. Now, this Khashoggi thing happened while I was gone, so I was not as privy to what was going on, but I want to rememberize you here that this Khashoggi was working for, linked to this Prince Turki Al Faisal bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. Same guy being sued by 9/11 families because Turkey is believed to have funded terrorists on 9/11. And as you can see in the top left corner there, we've got Mr. Michael Avenatti. He's funded by him. That's how he gets his little racing rocks off. He's out there in Abu Dhabi doing his little F1 thing out there, and he fancies himself to be a little Formula One racer. So I have a feeling that these guys are intertwined, and of course, Avenatti has not shut up for months. Why would this creepy porn lawyer be so hell-bent on taking Trump down? This is why to me. Now, I'm not exactly sure how exactly it is connected, but I find it very interesting that this Khashoggi, who is, like I said, sympathizer for Mujahideen, is wrapped up with this guy here. And I don't know if he's exactly connected to Avenatti. It might just be another random connection, but I don't believe in coincidences. But I find that this very interesting how this is all taking place. I find it very interesting that this lawyer out of nowhere all of a sudden has kind of over the last year kind of, garnered all this fame. And I just can't buy that it's all because of Stormy Daniels. So that's my take on it. I'm wondering where Nexium may be connected with all this. I have no idea if this has something to do with the murder of Khashoggi, but it would not surprise me if we find out some Wonderland kind of material in regards to the assassination of this Khashoggi fella. Now, that being said, a murder is a horrible thing, and it does seem like Saudi Arabia is lying about this. The story just seems crazier and crazier. The stories keep changing. I don't even want to report the story because it keeps changing. So I don't really know, but I do think that it's very, very interesting. I do think it's part of the theory, and it's definitely some grand theater playing out here. I'm kind of at the edge of my seat, really wanting to see. I would love to see this Avenatti go down and get exposed for what he really is. But he was definitely funded by this Prince Turki Al Faisal, and I'm just waiting for the moment where we kind of the whole world sees this. But what I'm really surprised about is that the mainstream media is not talking about this at all. But I guess it really shouldn't surprise me much. Hope that answers your question. All right, boys and girls, that's all I got for you today. Let me know if you like the Q&A, and we'll do some more of that. I know it definitely helps me kind of reach out to a lot of you guys without, constantly being able to answer every single comment and stuff like that. A lot of you guys have the same questions, so I know it's really helpful for me and a great way to stay kind of personable with you guys. I really like that part of it. So let me know, and if you like it, we'll do some more of that. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who've been sharing and liking my videos. I greatly appreciate all that you guys do. I will be posting regularly, but I will be a little bit more sporadic up until the midterms. I'm working on other little smaller projects and some things that I think are really important for the midterms, such as this little video right here entitled VOAT 2018. And it looks like a lot of you who have not seen this. Now, I don't know if the number is correct on this or not. I don't really care about the number, but I'm imagining a lot of you have not been notified and probably have not seen this video yet. So it just shows me that a lot of you guys are not getting your notifications, and that's okay. Just keep clicking, keep checking back. But I'll be making a lot more of these. I will go back to a regular posting schedule, regardless of whether Q is posting or not, but I am going to give it a little bit of a rest up until midterms because they're definitely dropping the ban hammer left and right on a lot of people, and I imagine you're probably seeing that with a lot of other content creators that are sort of laying low right now too, so just keep that in mind. All right, and if you are not following me over here on Twitter at IPOT1776, please do. That's at IPOT1776. If you're not a Twitterite, please join me over here on Gab. These are the two platforms where I can actually post text. So when I'm not making videos, I can still communicate with you. So it's very important. If you can follow me on one of these, it'd be greatly appreciated. That way I can let you know when I'm not making videos, I'm still pretty active. A lot of you guys are still following me over here on Twitter, and you know what's up. So this is where I'm at most of the time when I'm not making videos. So have your choice there, either Twitter or Gab. I'm also on Real.video, which is now Brighton.com. Not really sure how you pronounce that, but they changed the name while I was gone, so I'll have to deal with that. I'm also on BitChute. You can email me, and my Patreon link is down below if you would like to support the channel. Thanks for all you do. You'll be hearing more from me very, very soon. And until then, this is Sir Patrick Mack. Stay focused, stay patriotic, stay optimistic.